Right guys, Copenhagen and Manchester City have just played out a 0-0 draw, and the game was very much decided by the events in the opening half an hour of the game. Manchester City took the lead through a thunderbolt from Rodri, brilliant strike. It was one of them that's like rising the further it goes, it never dips, it's just right into the top left corner. And the keeper got a hand to it, Grabara, but he had absolutely no chance of saving it. Yeah, brilliant strike, but then VAR comes in. Nobody in the stadium, nobody watching on TV would have noticed a handball from, I think it was Riyad Mahrez or Alvarez, I can't remember. But the ball's coming down in the air. He sort of just put a bit of pressure on the defender, and the defender's moved away from him. It's not really a shove, but then the ball, as it comes down, it comes off his hand slightly and falls to Alvarez. Yeah, so it was Mahrez, I think. Alvarez lays it off to Rodri, and Rodri, unleashes the thunderbolt, as I've said. But under the letter of the law, it is a handball. We have to, follow the rules. You can have a debate over whether the rules are right or wrong, but it is the correct way of applying the laws to the game, because if it hits his hand in the direct build-up to a goal, it's got to be disallowed. It's just unfortunate for Man City, but those are the rules in football right now. And yeah, so Man City, had it disallowed, and they continued going forward. And then they got themselves a penalty, crossed into the box, and then Boyleson is he's putting, I think it was Laporte he was sort of having a duel with, and the ball comes across and hits him on the arm about here. It was hard with the whole sleeve rule. It was quite hard to tell if it was on his sleeve or if it was on his arm, because he's wearing a thermal. So it was quite hard to tell that, but assuming it did hit his arm, I think it's fair enough to give penalty, because it was pretty much on where the sleeve would be cut. So yeah, I think penalty was probably the fair decision. It gets taken by Riyad Mahrez, and it was a brilliant save by Kamil Grabara. It wasn't a poor penalty by any means. It was a nice height for the keeper, but he put a lot of power on it, and he put it quite far into the corner. It was more a brilliant save by Grabara than anything else, to be completely honest. So fair play to him. Grabara, even though he conceded 5 goals last week, he still had a really good game last week. So he's proven himself to be a very good goalkeeper for Copenhagen in these past couple of games. He was at my club, Liverpool, a few years ago, but never actually got a chance in any senior matches, because I think at the time Liverpool had about 5 goalkeepers to choose from. They had Alisson, Simon Mignolet, Loris Karius, Kevin Kelleher, and also Grabara. So he was going to be struggling to get any minutes whatsoever. So yeah, he had to leave for the better, and he looks like he's nailed down a number 1 spot at Copenhagen, so fair play to him. But then this is where the next VAR decision was the one that completely changed the game, because City, they were still putting pressure on Copenhagen even after they missed the penalty, but then Copenhagen got on the attack. And I should mention, even in the opening half an hour in the game, when it was 11v11, Copenhagen were getting forward a lot more than they were last week. I think last week they only had like 1 or 2 touches in the opposition box in the entire game, which, I mean, just shows complete Man City domination last week. But this week, even from the start of the game, they were getting into the opposition's final third and causing a few problems. I don't think they ever really troubled Ederson. I think Ederson probably caused himself more trouble than anything with that lapse of concentration, which could have been an embarrassing own goal on another day, but he got quite fortunate. It just went out for a corner. But yeah, the red card for Sergio Gomez, although it wasn't given straight away, it definitely was a red card. It's last man, and he's denied what could have been a clear goal-scoring opportunity for Haraldsson. And yeah, definitely the correct decision. It did take a few minutes for VAR to overturn the referee's decision just to leave it. And it was the correct decision to give free kicks. While there was a debate over should it be a penalty, no, it was outside the area. So yeah, and then from then on, Man City they changed like a 4-3-2 formation, brought on Ruben Diaz, took off Riyad Mahrez, and played 4 at the back with Cancelo switching to left back and Akanji going right back. And then they had to push Jack Grealish almost into like a support striker role for Julian Alvarez in a 4-3-2. And yeah, it didn't really work, but it was the best they could really do. They struggled to create chances really, and Copenhagen probably had more of the ball in dangerous areas in the second half. I'm sure Man City would still have the majority of possession, because they always do, even with 10 men, which is, you know, ridiculous. But Copenhagen never getting in dangerous areas more. But again, they couldn't really create many chances. So that they'll feel a little bit disappointed in that regard. But a 0-0 draw against Man City, when, no offence to Copenhagen, but they are, you know, minnows in the Champions League compared to the 3 other teams in their group: Manchester City, Borussia Dortmund and Sevilla. So they would have definitely taken that at the start of the game. But yeah, it's still a big point for Copenhagen. It's the first time Man City have dropped points in the Champions League this season. So yeah, there's still some good things to take away from it. And the other thing I do want to point out is just how good the Copenhagen crowd were. That they were amazing. It didn't stop all game long. Like you don't get crowds like that in English football. I'm not saying English fans are like bad or unatmospheric, but it's just different in like some smaller European nations, the level of noise that's generated by fans. But yeah, it was a dramatic game in the first half. I wouldn't say it was a thriller. The red card did halt Man City's flow. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.